Let's see how to pass the thread for the two needles. If you have two needles, this is the right needle, the left needle. This is the right needle thread, this is the left needle thread, and we always want to start with the right needle thread. Why? Because at the end we are going to pass the thread from the left side of this guide, and it's better to pass first the thread from the right needle. Otherwise, if you pass first the thread for the left needle, when you are going to put the thread for the right needle, the two threads are going to get crossed here. So you can always do that, but just make sure they don't make an X. They stay separate there. You can always start with the first needle, just make sure they don't get an X on the threads. So this is the thread I'm going to show you for the right needle. We need to pass it underneath this guide until it clicks in the center. And by the way, you cannot remove it from there the same way. You need to pull it from behind. That's how if you need to remove the thread. Then what I recommend is put the tension to 0. It's easier. I'll explain in a moment. There is two tension discs, and the right tension disc, they stay like this. The right one, it's attached to this piece. You see, when the tension is at 0, this piece is loose. Perhaps you can see it's moving the right disc, and we want to have this piece all the way to the right, just to make sure the right disc is away from the left one, and the thread will go in between the discs. So this has to be all the way to the right, and it's much easier if there is no tension. Why? Because if you put some tension, notice how this piece went to the left. Well, when you are going to try to slide the thread in there, it may not get captured completely in between the two discs. That's why you want to, the manual actually says to push it like this with your hand, but I'm not sure if it's much. I think it's safer just to put the thread to 0 tension, then the piece stays, the right disc stays by itself completely at the right, and then you are sure the thread will just get fully in between the two discs. Now, maybe it seems tricky here, but it's not so much. Maybe just put some tension to hold the thread, because I cannot use my other hand. So now I have some tension just to hold the thread for this video, basically. So I'm going to grab this thread. Again, this is the second needle, and I'm just going to, let's look underneath here perhaps. I'm just going to pass it right behind this metal piece. Now, if you look from the side, you will see there is another plate here, and at the front it has a cut. I can pass my nail, and we want to get both threads basically in this cut here at the top, not behind the piece. So I'm going to grab the thread and just keep it against my finger and put the thread behind, just behind this metal edge, right here at the front, but it has to go behind it, just like that. And keep it there, and then the thread has to go all the way. You may keep it just like that. You basically can pull towards the front, but it has to be behind this metal piece and behind this plastic piece, just behind. That's why you want some tension at the other end of the cable, the thread. So just keep it behind these two pieces, and then bring it here up. And then we are going to slide it. Oops, I'm working with one hand, or rather trying to work with one hand, and just pull down on the thread. And this way the thread is fully inserted into the guides, these upper guides. And again, it's going to go this way. This way, this is the right needle, just behind this piece, behind this other piece, and actually is going to get inserted into this cut here, but only behind the plastic piece. And then it's going to go all the way here down. I'll try to find where it is. It's here. So this is the right thread, the right needle. I'm going to pass it past this small guide. Try to film this. Let's try it again. lost it a little bit. I have it, it's not long enough. So I'm going just to go past this small guide here. It has a small hook on the side and it goes towards the right side, and then it goes from the front towards the rear of the needle. I'm not going to film this, but the thread, it's black on black, comes from this point on front of this piece underneath this guide here, and it's going to get into the right needle. Now the same goes for the left one. Let's just use the same thread perhaps. Just removing the tension, so I pull it like this to remove it. This is the left needle here. Again, goes there. It's stuck in place. Then I'm going to release all tension. Make sure the piece is at the right. Just slide the cable. I say cable, thread. Slide the thread. May also put some tension behind, pull behind, and pull down one, so it's fully inserted in between the pressure plates. And by the way, notice how when I put some tension on the plates, notice how this piece moves toward the left. Why? Because it's actually the right plate that's closing against the left one. The right one, it's mobile, moves right left. The left one, it's fixed. Now I have tension in it. I will adjust the tension later on, and I will explain you something about the tension. So I can just pull on it with one hand only. Again, it goes just like the other thread past this plastic piece, and it's going to get into the cut right at the front here. I cannot film it because it's really no way to film it, but there is this metal plate has a cut in front. It goes right into that cut. Keep it towards the front of the machine, and the same idea just like the other one. And because this is the left thread, it's going to align towards the left needle. So it's going to stay separated from the right thread, right needle thread, just in front of this piece. You have the left one, the right one on the behind this guide, and the two threads will go in the needle. And then from front to rear, you simply just take the other end of the threads and bring them all the way towards the rear of the machine. That's it. I've seen people saying bring them underneath the presser foot. I don't think that's needed. Now one last thing here. These tension discs, at least on this machine, I find it surprising why, if I put the tension to 0, this is 0, the right tension disc, it's free to move, there is no tension. Let's try to increase the tension. So this is the mark where you just know what the tension is. Let's put it to 1, and let's see if the right tension disc has some tension in it. None. There is no tension at all. You can even see it moving in there. And the other are exactly the same. If I put it to 1, it's loose. I don't know why it's like this. Maybe if you have a huge thick thread, maybe it's going to, you know, push the plates away from each other and create some tension. But other than that, for normal threads, even if you place it there at tension 1, it's going to have absolutely 0 tension, in my opinion. Let's move it to 2. Now it's tension 2. Do you think the right plate starts to having some tension on it? No. You can see it moving in there. So even if I put maybe you don't believe me, let's try with this one, because it has the thread on it, right? So, well, actually has the thread on it. So even at 2, I have no tension. I don't think this machine is broken or anything, but it's loose. But to all of them, let's try 3 then. Then we have a little bit of tension, but really little bit, like tiny tension. I'm not sure if it's useful. If I would put it between 2 and 3, I would say this is loose to me. There's no tension whatsoever. At 3, I may have a tiny bit of tension, tiny, but look how easy I can just kick it and it's moving. So it's, I wouldn't call that a tension. Maybe if I would move to 4, then yes, then there is some tension in there. It's not strong. Let's try 3.5, between 3 and 4. Yes, there is a bit of tension. This is what I would call tension. Starts being some tension in there, a little bit. Of course, if you go furthermore, it's going to be different now. Yes, there is some tension, but it's not strong, I can tell you. It's not, perhaps it doesn't need to be strong, but all this to say that from 1 to 3, in my opinion, for normal thickness threads, there's basically no tension in there. So if you are sewing and you think your maybe zigzag or straight stitch sewing machine, you use 2, 3, 1 or so, if you leave it at 2, you will have no tension. One of the things that happens when there is no tension in the threads, the threads will start like twisting. It depends on the quality too. The thread may start twisting here around, forms a small loop, and that loop may hook on something that shouldn't be hooking, and you get a broken thread. That's just one of the things that may happen. So all this to say that maybe I'm not sure if all the machines are different. This is the model for this brother, but at least on this machine, be careful with the tension. If you want to have at least a little bit of tension when you do your stitching.